Hello and welcome back. Now, in this video, I figured we'd cover the ever-evolving, well, I might as well call this the Oscar room at this point because that's what it is. Mind you, this tank has future discus in mind, and behind me here there's going to be another rack built for dealing with raising month-old discus. But for now, this is the Oscar room. And I figured I'd drop this video to pretty much go over what's happened with what has become my Oscar setup. Now initially I was thinking, setting these two up here, I was just building this rack out for discus. I figured, large water volume, all that stuff would apply good to discus and help them grow bigger and faster and all that stuff. And it probably is true, but I very quickly learned after putting discus in here that the water still needs a lot of attention, and that doesn't really change. So then you're doing a lot more work with a lot more water, and I didn't want that. Didn't want that at all. So I decided, what, this would be great for my second favorite fish, and that is Oscars. And I decided, let's get into some Oscars. Now, I wanted to use this tank over here on the right for discus, but it's been usurped by Oscars now. And I have 6 Oscars. And when you have Oscars, you have concerns. Or you should have concerns. A lot of people don't. Like my big one down here was kept in this little tank over here all its life, and it was huge in there and crowded with all kinds of. It was just, we're not all fish keepers, I guess, and some people do their best, and they kind of end up with the wrong fish in the wrong tank. So that's all I really got to say about that. And some people may think I've done that here, because when you look at my Oscar setup, you're going to say, Sean, what are you doing? Those are 75-gallon tanks, and that's not enough. And if they were just individual 75-gallon tanks, it would be the bare minimum to hold 2 Oscars. It might even not be good enough for 1, although I think it would be fine for 1. And it's not really about how much room they have to swim. I mean, that is a factor. It's nice to say have a 300 or 400-gallon tank for your Oscars to swim in. Definitely a cool thing, right? Even a 250-gallon, perfect. But I'm not rich. Just to put that out there. I don't have a lot of space in my house for big, huge, massive tanks. I mean, I could maybe fit one on the other side of this back wall here, and I could probably put 2 huge like plywood tanks down here, and that would be done. I wouldn't be able to fit anything else in this house. So it's not really what I'm after. I'd rather have a bunch of smaller tanks and do some more interesting stuff with smaller tanks. So I could have filled this, say, area up with one big, huge super tank, but I would have had to have been rich to do it. And, well, yeah, that's pretty much the limiting factor here. So these tanks have all acquired pretty much free. I've had to equip them. I've had to pay to equip them, so it's not entirely free. But, so, it'd be nice to have them in a 300-gallon tank. I'll admit it. It would be nice, because they get to swim around. But a 300-gallon tank is still a square box when you compare that to a lake or a river or the million gallons of water they should be swimming in. So, and a jump from 75 to 300 isn't all that big in those terms. So the reason you want a big tank is water quality. And having a 75-gallon tank with two big Oscars in it, you can have good water quality, but you're going to be doing a lot of water changes very often to give them what they deserve. And therein lies the problem with keeping Oscars in a 75-gallon tank. She's completely happy in there. She's fine. They don't. Um, she thinks she's got more room than she's ever had. Big girl down there, And they're both fine. And there's only going to be two Oscars in that tank. Those two. But what I've done with my Oscar setup is I've linked all of these tanks together. And they're all flowing into each other. Continuously, non-stop. Even that one now. We've just built a I don't know, a redneck overflow, poor man's overflow, call what you will. There's the pipe there. I've got it set up like a weir. You can hear it every now and then. Right now it's doing a little suction noise. Water level stays perfect. Runs like a champ. And power cuts out, it'll just stop. It should resume, but it might not. I haven't tested it under various scenarios. It does restart, but I don't know if it would restart if it was the power was off for a day or something. That's a different variable. I just haven't gotten around to trying to test, but I can eliminate that by adding a pump that does both air and water. Just pipe it into the top bend there. And plug that in, leave it run 24/7. It'll just, while it's working, it'll pump water out of it. And when the power goes out, it'll pump the air out of it and restart the system for sure, So I'll probably do that just for I don't want to have to worry about it, but I can sleep safe at night. And my city almost never loses power, so it's really not a huge issue. I'll likely be around when it happens anyway. So I would rather have them linked, and they're linked, it's running, it's stable, and I like it. So we got them all together. What we've got is 75 times 2, it's 150 gallons, and we got 60 gallons times 2, it's another 120 gallons, and then we got this other 65 gallon over here. Basically 335 gallons of water to six Oscars. So how many Oscars would you put in a 335 gallon tank? That's basically the way they breathe. That's they live with the air quality of the 335 gallon system, and there's 6 of them. So I figured this is what I have to do to give them what they need using what I have. And the other thing I like about keeping Oscars, and I can definitely see how some people probably get addicted to this aspect of it, is the whole, rehoming them. There's a lot of people out there that buy these fish, don't understand what they need. And then they end up with this big huge monster in their little tank, and they need to rehome them because they've figured out they're in a bit of a pickle. So if you ever want to have an Oscar, I strongly suggest that you consider rehoming one instead of buying a new baby and waiting the 2 years to grow it out, because you get to enjoy an adult Oscar, which is a completely different scenario than a baby Oscar, and B, you get to save an Oscar, and C, if you don't already have the facilities for a big girl like her and you're thinking of buying an Oscar, oops, what have I done? And you're thinking of buying an Oscar, If you don't already have the ability to house a big one like this, you shouldn't buy an Oscar. If you know, it's not something like, oh, I'll buy a tank in a year. These things will be huge in just a few months, and you got to be ready for it. You got to be able to provide that water quality. When these things go to the bathroom, they don't go just a little bit; they go a lot. So if you're not giving them a large volume of water, and you don't feel like doing near daily water changes because you have a small tank, then you got to either A, get creative, or B, don't buy one, because that's what you're getting yourself into. So I feel I've accommodated these fish very, very well, and you know, each tank has at least 2 types of filtration in it. This bottom one actually has 3. So what's happening is this bottom tank has a Sun canister filter pulling water out of it. Okay, it's going into the canister filter. Then the outflow from the canister filter is coming up now into this this tank here, and it's overflowing into this tank. And then that's why I built this Frankenstein of a overflow rig. Works real well. It's got a weir, which is the outer casing of this PVC pipe, and then this blue pipe comes down, goes right up through the bottom. It's all sealed up, so the weir fills up with water and then overflows down into this blue tubing, which then sends it right back up out over that hump, which helps it have gravity, and then it falls, and boom, we overflow right into the barrel. So it works perfectly. You can hear a little bit of gurgle, or at least I can. We'll get closer to it so you guys can hear it. It gurgles, but that's okay. It's a good noise, because what's happening is the outflow into the barrel is a little faster than the inflow from the Sun. And that's the way you want it. When it gurgles, it's kind of pausing. It's pausing for a second while it catches up. So if I go stick my arm in there, it'll gurgle like mad, because my arm will push water through the outflow, and then it has to catch up. So you hear it gurgle a lot. Most of the time it's fairly quiet. Right now it's gurgling just a little bit, and that's just how it works. And then if the power shut off, that gurgling would break the siphon. Well, it would stop. There would still be a siphon in the tube, as long as no air is getting in there, and I believe I've stopped all that. It should just hold, and then once the water starts flowing back in, it does kick back in. But again, I'm not 100% on long-term outage. I haven't done that. I haven't tried to test for that, and quite frankly, I'm not too worried about it right now. The idea was to pull that off without spending a dime, and I did. That's what I did. I just found stuff I had laying around, and I made it work. So, and I had to make it work because I took in another Oscar, this beautiful, beautiful male, and I needed to rearrange the fish, and I also needed to add some water volume to the Oscar system to accommodate them and to accommodate these 2 fish. I didn't want to just put them in that tank and run them like 2 Oscars in a regular tank, because that's not the right thing to do in my opinion. So I linked it into the system, and now all 3 tanks are working together. A pet shop would run a system like this, but I think they would call it a what would they call it? I think they call it a centralized system, and the barrels would represent the filter in a centralized system. And I do put biomedia in those barrels, and I'm continuing to do that. So they do act like a big super sump, so to speak. But I like redundancy. So I filter each tank as I would an individual tank. And then I have the centralized system as well. So that's a different type of filtration because of the continuous flow system, and which in the aquarium hobby, I think they call a centralized system. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what they actually call this. And this is what they would do in a fish shop that runs many tanks, and it's great with the centralized system because you don't have to put filters everywhere. I don't need all these extra filters. I could just run off these barrels, and everything would be fine. But I live by what happens if that stops working. Then all the tanks go down. So I have backup. Tanks, I could turn off the sump, stop the flow, and the tanks will run by themselves and be fine. So in the event of a power outage, my tanks are still getting filled. Well, they wouldn't be getting filtered because the power's out. But if I had battery backup units, which I have under my step, and I'll probably be integrating them in the future under my stairs, they just need some replacement batteries, and they're good to go. And then I could run all these for several hours through a power outage as well. But one step at a time, and I'm really happy that these three are all linked in. I think 335 gallons for 6 Oscars is it's ideal. It's getting the job done. So, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Is 2 Oscars per 75 gallons under these conditions still horrible? Or have I taken care of things in a way that's going to keep these fish healthy and happy and clean? What have you done for your Oscars? Let me know. I mean, I know what some people have done for their Oscars, but drop me some links. Give me a shout out. Let me know about your Oscar videos. I'm very interested in your ideas. These are mine. This is how I got around creating a setup on very little to no money. And it's the best I could do using my head. So I hope you like it. And let's have a closer look at the fish before we go. We're getting along good. Brought the temperature down to calm her down. He's also been working to keep her relaxed. She's getting a bit annoyed with him doing that. She's been attacking her own reflection since he showed up. It's been a bit of a problem. If I leave the light on behind me, which I've been doing, she can't see it as much. So I've been doing that to keep her from beating herself up on the glass. It's working out. Tanks are looking good, staying nice and clean. Now I've added this tank into the system. It's going to be, new biology and everything floating around too. It's just going to help everybody. But yeah, they've been getting along real nice. He still flares, and that's all it is. I've been watching him. He has no problems with his gills. He's just flaring. Sticks out his little beard underneath. Good looking fish. Really good looking fish. So happy to have him. I'm so happy to have both these fish. I got 2 amazing Oscars for free just by adopting them and helping people out, Look at that. Just gorgeous. Okay. She likes to yell at me, open her mouth, talks. She's very vocal. She's very I should say social, not vocal. Now let's get up here. Let's have a look at these guys. These are my, oops, one second. These are my supposed golden Oscars, but they're just regular old white and orange Oscars. Fed him krill, turned orange. Beautiful fish all the same. Look at the shape on him. He's just something else. Look at that. Look at that. Excellent specimens. This one's a little, you know, got some gray in it. Still a nice fish, like shape-wise though. Really good size and shape on that one. But this one back there is just perfect. Color-wise. Really good specimen. This one, it's gonna be a monster. He's a little rough around the edges. And over here, we got Sly. His little crooked mouth. He's a good looking fish. He's growing pretty good too. Mouth's almost straightening out as he grows. He's still there though. He's got that little sideways thing going on like Sylvester Stallone. So we'll call him Sly. And this is the lemon. It's a bit dumb when it comes to eating. It's a bit slow to the punch. It's very vigorous and everything else, but it's just a little dumb. I don't know how else to describe it. This is my short bus Oscar right there. And you know, keep the decor down to a minimum in these tanks. I mean, I got a little much up here in this one, but I'll pull some out as they get bigger. For now, it's line of sight breaks for my silver dollars, my other fish. Gives them somewhere to hide and run if they need to. And I like the way it looks. It's a nice sort of dead trees and rocks and sand. Like it's a deeper spot in the lake along the shore. I kind of have that theme in all my tanks, the discus tank included. Sunken shoreline. Really like what's going on with this over here. It's just, you know, my signature pot scrubby to stop anything big from getting into the weir. Water falls down into that tube and then it fills up, comes up, flows into the pipe. Just awesome. I just got bored yesterday and said, you know what, I want this to happen, and I made it happen. Just a bunch of junk laying around the house. I watched the videos, but none of them told me to do it like this. I did it like this because the things I had on hand forced me to do it like this. And everybody in the videos that I watched said that this thickness of pipe is not going to support like 260 gallons of flow. It's doing it just fine. In fact, a half-inch garden hose can handle something like 360 something gallons of flow. Mind you, under like pressure, but this is without pressure, so. And it's handling what these this little Sun does, and that I believe is 260 gallons per hour. So not a problem. You can even see, like, it's not even overwhelming it. That's you can see the flow rate as it travels through. Not a problem. It can actually handle more. The flow rate's faster than the inflow rate. That's what that means right there, and it is. That's why we can hear it. That's why it's gurgling, because the outflow is way ahead of the inflow. And this system works great. Well, there's my Oscar room. This is what it looks like when I sit in my chair and I just sit back and watch it and relax. I thank you so much for watching. And I'm in my last like 600 and something hours to monetization, so thank you everyone for sticking in and watching my videos. I've been trying to keep the push up, keep things going, and keep things as interesting as humanly possible. We'll catch you on the next one.